Jai Prabhupada Jai, Prabhupada Jai, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada Jai, Prabhupada Jai, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupad Paramahans Aparivrajacharya's Tedastasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Shri Radha Radhanath Ki. Shri Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu Ki. Sankirtan Yagya Ki. Go Brahmanande. All glories to their Samo devotees. All glories to their Samo devotees. All glories to their Samo devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 2, Daksha curses Lord Shiva. Text 22. Grihesho Kuta Dharmesho Sakto Gramya Sukechaya Karma Tantram Vitanute Veda Vada Vipanna De Griheshu Kuta Dharmeshu Sakto Gramya Sukechaya Karma Tantram Vitanute Veda Vada Vipanadi Griheshu Kuta Dharmeshu Sakto Gramya Sukechaya Karma Tantram Vitanute Veda Vada Vipanadi Griheshu Kuta Dharmeshu Sakto Gramya Sukechaya Karma Tantram Vitanute Veda Vada Vipanadi griheshu, in householder life, kuta dharmeshu, of pretentious religiosity, sakta, being attracted, gramya sukha ichaya, by desire for material happiness, karma tantram, fruitive activities, vitanute, he performs, Vedavada, by the explanations of the Vedas, vipanade, intelligence being lost. Translation: pretentiously religious householder life, in which one is attracted to material happiness, and thus also attracted to the superficial explanation of the Vedas, robs one of all intelligence and attaches one to fruitive activities as all in all. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Persons who identify with bodily existence are attached to the fruitive activities described in the Vedic literature. For example, in the Vedas it is said that one who observes the Chaturmasya vow will attain eternal happiness in the heavenly kingdom. Sounds good. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that this flowery language of the Vedas mostly attracts persons who identify with the body. To them, such happiness as that of the heavenly kingdom is everything. They do not know that beyond that is the spiritual kingdom or kingdom of God, and they have no knowledge that one can go there. Thus they are bereft of transcendental knowledge. Such persons are very careful in observing the rules and regulations of household life in order to be promoted in the next life to the moon or other heavenly planets. It is stated here that such persons are attached to gramya sukha, which means material happiness, without knowledge of eternal, blissful, spiritual life. Griheshu kuta dharmeshu sakto gramya sukechaya karma tantram vitanute vedavada vipanadi. Pretentiously religious householder life, in which one is attracted to material happiness and thus also attracted to the superficial explanation of the Vedas, robs one of all intelligence and attaches one to fruitive activities as all in all. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyachade Shatarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Nandishvara, right? Nandishvara is continuing with his cursing. It's pretty heavy. Yes, he pronounces, this is the second curse. So maybe there's just two. No, wait a minute, what am I talking about? Let's just see. Anyway, maybe there's more, but this is the second one. Oh, okay, there's a third one coming up. Tune in tomorrow for the third curse. Oh, Krishna. Oh, boy. And it's sort of an ultra heavy one. Then there's a fourth one. Krishna. Oh, my Lord. Yeah, there's a fourth one. Oh, boy. I will not tell you what they are. Oh, gosh. Then there's a fifth one. Oh, boy. He's a goner, I tell you. The whole situation is just Haribol. Ghastly. So anyway, yes, here this is a specific curse. It's actually, it could be said it's a very, if it wasn't a curse, it is a curse, but if it wasn't, you'd say, well, it's an intelligent, sort of knowledgeable type of statement, because it's true. That, as Prabhupada says in the purport here, the flowery language of the Vedas mostly attracts people who identify with the body, and it attracts people to identify with the body. It's a real catch. It's a real catch. It's sort of a catch-22, you could say, if you know what I mean by that. There was a famous movie years ago, which, I'll be frank with you, I did not see. Although I read about it and I know the idea. Yeah, catch-22, that you can't progress. Every time you try to progress beyond a certain point, the point that you're meant to progress beyond moves further away. Yeah. Anyway, we won't go in, but it's a famous sort of catchphrase. Catch-22. Yes. That in this case, this type of material sacrificial activity, material religious activity, is described at length in the Vedic scriptures. Really, at length. The whole Karmakandya section means the majority of the four Vedas, and that's a lot. That's really a lot of literature and so many verses. And it's all about this. How, particularly essentially householders can enjoy and increase their enjoyment and increase it to such a degree that they can, by religious activity, arrange that in their next life they will go to sort of almost wherever they like. Not exactly, but they've definitely got quite a range of choice. What sort of planet, what sort of situation in the material world, what sort of heavenly planet would I like to go to? And in order to go to that, what's the specific process, the specific religious practice, program of activity, which will take me there as opposed to somewhere else? So therefore in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna makes that point, that the foolish materialists, They perform religious activities in terms of the goal they want to achieve. Material goal. I mean, of course you can say that we do too, because we want to go back to Godhead, so we're doing Krishna consciousness. But Krishna consciousness is in a different category altogether. Whereas all these programs for achieving different things, to achieve learning, to achieve wealth, to achieve beauty, to achieve knowledge, all these things on the material level, you can customize, you could say. You can customize your program of religion to achieve sort of whatever you want on the material level. But the problem with that is, well, there are many problems, but the main problem is that it's all on the material level. And it means you're caught on the material level. And when you're caught on the material level, then you cannot just go on as is being described here. You cannot just go on adopting different religious programs to achieve different heavenly objectives just indefinitely. Maybe you can do it one time, or maybe 2 times, or something. But the thing is that when you achieve material sense gratification, there are reactions. There are reactions, and sooner or later it catches up with you. And you'll find that instead of going to some other heavenly destination from the one that you've achieved this time, but instead of going to some other one, that you're going to be taking a lower birth. And once you start going down, well, there's sort of, not exactly no limit, but in a certain sense there's just no limit to the degradation that you can get into, and that you will get into in due course. But some people, they're very interested in enjoying material life. They're aware of the heavenly planets, and they become aware of the different Vedic literatures or Karmakandya Vedic literatures, which can help you to achieve these different destinations. And so they go. But it, as we just said, it's not an endless situation of enjoyment. Sooner or later you'll fall down. And when you fall down, you'll find the situation when you fall, the situation that you fall into is so bad that you'll understand it was not worth it, getting whatever material enjoyment I got. So this is how it works. And it's well, people think it's so great, it's so wonderful. Pretentiously religious householders involved in pretentiously religious householder life, they may think it's so great, but it promises to be wonderful, but really, if you know what I mean, I don't want to sort of cheapen the whole idea. You know what a booby prize is? A booby, you know what a booby, you don't know, really. A booby prize, it's oftentimes one of these competitions where everybody gets a prize. Everybody gets a prize. So booby prize means you take part in the competition for some apparently desirable thing, but you don't win the desirable thing, because who does? But you get like a cracker, you pull it apart and pop, out comes something, and out comes like a little plastic whistle. You can blow the whistle, and it's just totally stupid. So actually this whole program of material elevation, it's like that. It's all, people think, I'll enjoy for thousands of years, or millions, or billions, or even trillions. If you go to Brahmaloka, trillions of our years. And that's just going to be the perfection. But the problem is, sooner or later, even if you stay there for a while, sooner or later, your karmic reactions will accumulate, and you'll go down. And sooner or later, you'll find you really go down. And therefore, as we know, it's a very famous and important part of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Narada Muni, when in the 4th and 5th chapters of the first canto, around there, 6th maybe, something, Vyasadeva has compiled all the Vedic literatures, as far as he's concerned. That he's done it. The job is completed. This, like the supreme service for the conditioned soul, is completed. All the Vedic knowledge has been compiled. But he's still feeling dissatisfied. And so Narada Muni, who's already his spiritual master from before, Narada Muni appears on the scene and points out the reason for Vyasadeva feeling dissatisfied, despite the fact that he feels he has completed all knowledge and there's nothing more. And that if people acquaint themselves with this, their lives will certainly be perfect. But his life is not perfect. He's still doubtful. So Narada Muni comes and you could say sort of chastises Vyasadeva for more or less exactly the same thing described here, that you've compiled Vedic knowledge, all right, but you have described the materialistic part of the Vedic literatures, the Karmakandya section, in excessively attractive language. You've made it sound like it's just something of like the ultimately wonderful thing. Ultimately wonderful thing. But it's not. And in this way, you have done a disservice for the people. You've done a disservice. And in fact, this verse, Narada Muni sort of chastises him, but you could say kind of diplomatically, if you read through the verses, you'll see he doesn't really hammer him. Like I was reading the other day, Srila Prabhupada was talking about devotees who, let me just look it up and if I can find it. I mean, Prabhupada's just really heavy. Yeah. Prabhupada says, from materialistic point of view, you may be very learned man, but every one of you must know that spiritually, you a damn rascal. Nothing. Spiritually, all these people are very proud of their learning. They're all damn rascals. Asat, simply rascals, simply rascal. So you must know that I means you, I am simply rascal. It's pretty to the point. Narada Muni does not express himself like that. Nandishvara, here in this verse 22, it's more, to the point that someone who's like that is pretentiously religious, attracted to superficial explanation of the Vedas. He's robbed of all intelligence, attached to fruitive activities as all in all. It's a fact Narada Muni does chastise, but it's in a more sort of gentle way, you could say. Yes, but this is the fact. In the name of helping humanity by dispensing Vedic knowledge, Vyasadeva did it in such a way that you could say at least many people who don't have sufficient qualification, if they simply accept what he said, they will become condemned. They'll become condemned personalities to rot in this material world. And here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada refers to a particular verse, which I looked up Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this verse last night, and it's interesting. He quotes an actual verse from somewhere in the Vedic literatures about Chatumasya. Srila Prabhupada here talks about Chatumasya, and in the Vedas it's said that one who observes the Chatumasya vow will attain eternal happiness in the heavenly kingdom. So the word in that verse, is 22. The word is akshayam. Akshayam navai chatumasya yajina sukritam bhavati. So akshayam indicates unlimited, just unlimited. Sukritam, happiness, unlimited. And therefore Prabhupada in the purport referring to this, he says that in the Vedas it said that one who observes the Chatumasya vow will attain eternal happiness in the heavenly kingdom. Devotees, it is not true. It's a lie. There's a place in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in the second part, the story of Gopakumar, where an old man, where Krishna has been captured apparently by Kaliya, and an old man who's somehow there sees all this, and he comes running into the village in Vrindavan and sounds the alarm that Krishna is captured by Kaliya. And it's It's a desperate situation, basically. And Lord Balaram, who understands, all the other Brijbasis are just so much under Yoga Maya that they have basically got no idea that Krishna's God, at least the great majority of the time. So in that sort of mood of concern that Krishna, this fellow says, it looks like Krishna's finished, basically, like that. And so the Brijbasis panic, oh, Krishna's going to die. And they start running out to the Yamuna. But Lord Balaram, who knows, who's not so much under Yoga Maya at least, Lord Balaram understands, wait a minute, just hang on a minute, will you? It's not really like that. Because Krishna's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's just his game. So, but Lord Balaram, out of respect for the elevated positions of the Brijbasis, he doesn't want to stop them all and just round them up and say, hang on a minute, will you? Just relax, all right? Just take it easy. He doesn't want to do that because it will interfere with their love. So what he does, he tries to run out in front of them and he calls out, it's a lie! It's a lie! It's not true! It's a lie! But he can't stop any of them except Mother Rohini, who is, who listens to him because she's his mother. So anyway, that statement that I just read, it's from the Vedas somewhere. It says if you observe Chatumasya, you'll attain eternal happiness, akshayam, unlimited, in the heavenly kingdom. Devotees, it's a lie. It's just not true. It's just not true. And it's this is an example of a type of statement made by Srila Vyasadeva in the Vedic literatures about the heavenly planets, life in the heavenly planets, and about the different programs of activity that he explains, including step by step how you can achieve it in those Karmakandya Vedic literatures. So actually, it's not good. It's really not good to promote material life like that. So Narada Muni chastises him. And as Prabhupada said, damn rascal. Hare Krishna. Yes. So, in Bhagavad Gita, actually, Krishna makes that point. The flowery language of the Vedas, one should not be bewildered by that flowery language. We should understand that there's something higher. Not just understand that there's something higher, but understand that the whole idea is that we are meant to go higher than that. Yeah. What chapter's that in? Is it chapter 2? Yeah, it's chapter. Yeah, it's around there. Yes. Yeah, it's it starts in 42 and 43. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, result in good birth power and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there's nothing more than this. And then it's verse 45, isn't it? Yeah. Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nistrigunya Bhavarjana Nirdvandvo Nityasatvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. So Krishna's warning there. I mentioned some weeks ago, some of you will remember, how one devotee, Bhavananda Prabhu, some of you might know him, old Prabhupada disciple, while Prabhupada was still on the planet, he observed Chatumasya very strictly. He didn't shave, he ate once a day. You remember I talked about that, you must remember. And there's I forget the name of it, but the way of eating, that the food or the prasadam is just literally put on the actual floor, and with your hands behind your back you must lean over and eat with your mouth off the floor. And if you ever sit up, then that's the end. You can't eat more for the day. Interesting program. If you want something really austere, give it a try. No, don't give it a try. Well, we mentioned that in the Katyayani Vrata, that the gopis, or some of the gopis, they did that for the month because they wanted, it's sort of a traditional thing. If you want a good husband, they're in short supply, by the way. I tell you what, and so are good wives. But anyway, but that's the part of the traditional practice for the girls. I don't know if the boys have to do it, but the girls, and they did it. It's really austere. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta used to do it. And if you go to the Caitanya Mat, and if you know where to look, the place, you got to know where to look, you'll see they've got a slab of marble which he used for that purpose. The food, prasadam, would be placed on that slab of marble, and he would sit, as we said, and lean forward and all that. Chatumasya, which is specifically pointed out here for attaining eternal happiness in the heavenly kingdom. So Bhavananda Prabhu observed it, and then at some point at the end or just after or something like that, he did it for 4 months. The temple in Mayapur got attacked, and it's a long story, but a number of the devotees were arrested. The attackers were not arrested, but some of the devotees were, including him. And he was a sannyasi at the time. And somehow it got into the news what had happened, and it became a whole sort of scandal in the newspapers all over India that the sannyasi, foreigner sannyasi who's dedicated to dharma, he's been arrested for defending the temple, and he became famous. So Prabhupada wrote to him and said, "You have become so famous because you observe Chaturmasya so staunchly. And, that sort of fame, well, I mean, it's focusing on Krishna and on a devotee, but in another sense, it's kind of material, to become famous amongst the materialists. So, yes, in the Vedic, the Karmakandya section, there's so many promises like this. Eternal happiness in this place or that. But it's actually not a fact. It sometimes, in many cases, it's a position like that for so long that you can't sort of, really digest the meaning of such a long time, what the implications are. Even when you're young, just in our lifetimes, the life, if you're like 10 or, just a child, the prospect of living 60, 70 more years is like, you can't picture what it really is going to be like. But I can tell you, when you reach the age of 70, you can tell. And when you're 50, you can get the idea. You start getting the idea much more clearly than before. I remember when I was, I think, 10, wishing when am I going to be 12? Wow, it's just going to be fantastic. So when these types of ideas are presented in the Karmakandya section of the Vedas, it's not actually talking of something which is literally eternal, but just something which is a very long period of time, and so long that you can't relate to it and grasp what it's going to be like until you reach the end of it. Yeah. But when we talk about Satchitananda, eternal life full of bliss and full of knowledge in Krishna consciousness, we're actually talking about actual eternality, real eternality. So, therefore, Narada Muni chastises Vyasadeva for presenting like that. Nandishvara is chastising. Actually, it's sort of, I think he's leading up to a curse, a second curse. Yeah, oh boy, just wait till tomorrow. Hari bol. Wait and you see the curse he's going to get. It's just a classic. Yeah. So Nandishvara understands what is Krishna consciousness, what is not Krishna consciousness. And we must understand and not become confused by some prospect of some super material happiness. In the 11th canto, right? What is it? Chapter 10, verse 20. Thank you, Swarup Damodar Prabhu. And Parthasarathi Maharaj referred to it in his class on Saturday night. It's a verse, 11th canto, chapter 10, verse 20, which is talking about the not just insignificance, but just the uselessness, just total uselessness of material enjoyment. That if you're being taken from your cell in the prison to the place where they're going to execute you just 100 meters away or something like that. And in the process, someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, you won the lottery. Here, take." I just read a few days ago someone in America won $428 million in a lottery. So, you just won $428 million. Oh, great. But you're just, you're walking towards whatever it is, the guillotine or where they're going to hang you. And it's just meaningless. It's just meaningless. There's no question of feeling at all like, oh, wow, that's great. It's just clear. Your life's a disaster. No matter what you get under those circumstances. So for all of us, it's like that. For all of us, it's like that. But Krishna consciousness means we grasp that idea, or at least we start to grasp the idea that material happiness is just, not that it's just not so good even, but it's just not worth it to give up even a little Krishna consciousness for even a lot of material happiness. It's just not worth it. You'll just be doing yourself a great disservice. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? Okay, words of wisdom, correction, alteration, chastisement. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.